And Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you. And forgive me for engaging in some reductive reasoning, but there are two ways really to run a society. And there's, we argue about it all the time. You can either redistribute assets to affect an equal outcome, or you can guarantee equal opportunity. And I think you've seized on it here. For Republicans to win back the hearts and minds of voters, we need to fix this, because opportunity is not equal. It depends on where you're born and what kind of family you're born into. And until we fix it, the other side is going to make headway by trying to guarantee outcomes. So you've got some answers here, and I applaud you for.
Well, first of all, you've hit it right on the nose. Mobility, that ability to rise above the circumstances of your birth, is something I experienced, perhaps many of you have experienced as well, most Americans have. The data now shows that we're no longer perhaps the most mobile country in the world, and I just won't accept that, because that's one of the things that I think makes us truly exceptional. So what is it that's holding people back? Increasingly in the 21st century, in the post-industrial revolution, it's the lack of access to higher education. The problem is we have a 20th century higher education model that says everyone has to go and get a 4-year degree, then you get a bachelor's, then you get a graduate's degree, and that's still good, but that's not the only way for everyone. There are a bunch of professions being created that require more than high school but less than college. We have to provide access to those sorts of learning as well. And then you've got this explosion in technology that's brought knowledge and learning to more people than ever before, but we don't reward it with a degree, we don't pay for it with federal student aid, and that makes it inaccessible to many, many people. And that's why you have $1 trillion in student loan debt out there today across this country. So I propose 3 things. 1, more information for students. I filed a bill called Right to Know Before You Go with Senator Wyden. That means students will be told before they take out a loan, this is how much you can expect to make when you graduate with this degree from this institution. I also think we should open up lending to private investment groups that can invest directly in an individual student, and the student pledges to pay that back through a percentage of their income over a defined period of time. And finally, we need to open up the accreditation process and be able to allow people to get credit and ultimately degrees based not just on classroom work, but also on life experience, work experience, areas that you can show aptitude in through testing, and online learning.
Yeah, what are we going to use all those liberal art schools for, those facilities? What are we going to use those for when people see what you can actually expect to make with those degrees and we shut them all down? What's going to happen?
Some people will still choose that route. For example, I teach a political science course at Florida International University, and many of those students are taking that course because they want to be journalists or politicians or they want to go to law school. I know, exactly. But I told them go design software. But anyway, but my point is that it will still have utility, and many people will choose that. What I'm saying is that we have these rapidly growing areas of our economy that we have a growing skills gap, and we've got to fill that skills gap by allowing people to access the information, and not just young 18-year-old students, 35-year-old single mothers too.
Because Senator, sometimes I wonder, why do some Republicans even go into government? Because they don't like anything that government can do, and they want small government. That can't be your only role, is trying to hold back the growth of government. And this is a place where you can play, I think. And something absolutely, and I don't know if it's just higher education. We got to start. I don't know where we got to start, but we got to, it's not just money, throwing money at it. There's got to be a fundamental overhaul of all these things to guarantee opportunity so people can, with freedom, with economic freedom and personal freedom, they can choose their own path and succeed in this country. And that's a really noble thing for a politician to try and do.
Well, it's my personal experience. You mentioned the role of government. I went to college on Pell Grants and federal student loans. So I think there is a role for government. It's not the solution to everything, but that doesn't mean it can't play a constructive role. I still believe, by and large, government should be limited and effective, but in that limited role, there are things government can do to incentivize the free enterprise system and to allow people to access the skills they need to take advantage of the opportunities created by a free enterprise system.
I don't know, the Christie coronation took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, or actually it was a wrong turn at Fort Lee. Are you suddenly much more marketable, you and Jeb Bush and others like you, would you say?
Well, first of all, I would just say that I honestly this is not part of anything like that. As I've said already, I mean, at some point next year, I'm going to have to make political decisions simply because my term in the Senate is nearing the end of its first term. So I've got to make decisions about that, and I'll make that at the appropriate time.
If it's not you, who would you like?
Well, I think we have a deep bench of qualified candidates across the political spectrum. I have colleagues here in the Senate who have expressed an interest. You mentioned Governor Bush, and there are others, Governor Walker in Wisconsin. There are others that have expressed interest as well. I'm sure I'll leave someone out, and then someone will point that out. I don't have them all on the top of my head. My point is, I don't think we'll have a shortage of quality candidates who would love to serve in that position.
All right. Senator, thank you.
Thank you.